So much to the panelists for your insights. So for our next session, we will have a presentation on the UAE Alliance for Climate Action launched by Emirates Nature World Wildlife Fund, which the Clean Energy Business Council is a proud partner of. I'm honored to welcome to the stage Marina Antonopoulou, the Director for Climate and Nature Conservation at Emirates Nature-WWF, to give the presentation.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. I hope you can see that. I was told that the chairs can obstruct a little bit the vision. But yeah, I'd just like to thank first of all Dr. Nasser and the CEBC group for inviting us here today. We're just going to give a very brief introduction about the Alliance for Climate Action here in the UAE that we've launched at COP27 with the kind support of HSBC. It's not working. There you go, thank you. So for those of you who don't know a lot about us, we are an environmental, non-governmental organization based here in the UAE. We've been active for more than 20 years. We have a local board of directors and a mandate to advance sustainability, climate change, and nature conservation here in this country. And of course, we work with private sector, government entities, civil society, and research and academia as well to achieve our goal. And of course, we are also affiliated with WWF, the Worldwide Fund for Nature. This is an international NGO, reputable around the world. And again, collectively, we're working towards the same ambition at the global scale. I have the kind help for you. It doesn't work. I'm not sure how to use it. So just to kind of mention that the Alliance has a domestic focus. So the idea, sorry, oh, this one, okay, thank you. There you go. Right, so the Alliance has a domestic focus, but it's also very important for us to remember that we have a mandate from a global perspective. Back in 2016, the United Nations launched what we call the Marrakesh Partnership. The Marrakesh Partnership aims to bring a platform and a mechanism for non-state actors to actively engage in what we call the climate change discourse. What we mean by non-state actors is essentially every organization that doesn't have a formal seat on the table during the UN negotiations. So anybody who's not at the federal government, essentially, representing their own states. So obviously private sector, but also research, academia, civil society, as I mentioned earlier. So everybody with the non-state actors is essentially wants to kind of participate in those, link their work with the national and government commitments. And you'll see here that on the slide that the Alliances for Climate Action, which is an initiative at the global level, essentially a network that we are feeding into, is recognized formally at COP26 as one of the key drivers and agents to deliver the Marrakesh Partnership. And here's a snapshot of the global network of ACAs, as we call. So you'll see we have alliances around the world in both global north and south. And again, different segments of non-state actors are engaging within their countries to advance what is important domestically for their own countries. But of course, collectively, we want to drive one ambition forward. And we're really happy also to see that prior high-level champions are supporting our work, and also our own WWF Climate Change and Energy Climate Lead, Manuel Pulgar, is actually supporting what we do at the global level. And I mentioned earlier a high-level champion who is an ex-high-level champion at COP25 who essentially helped us initiate those global ACAs. But you might have heard recently that for COP28 that the UAE announced that together with the president we will have the UAE high-level climate champion, and the position was offered to Her Excellency Razan Al Mubarak. We're really excited to have this appointment because she's a reputable environmentalist. She holds prestigious positions around the world, but she also has formed, if you like, shaped the environmental movement here locally. She helped actually WWF establish here, so our own organization, but she's also advising a number of other entities locally. So one of the mandate of the high-level champion is precisely activating the Marrakesh Partnership locally and globally. So bringing together non-state actors, working collectively towards the same goal, but also try to bring meaningful links, if you like, with what the governments essentially are committing, right? The national determined contributions, the net zero strategies, etc. So we hope that we will work very closely with the high-level champions team as part of our work program. And just a snapshot of what we're trying to achieve, again, linking to what the global community is trying to achieve, is to essentially implement and deliver the Paris Agreement. So there's no difference between to what we're trying to achieve, but then looking into locally and domestically important topics for us to collectively explore. And to address that, we have essentially our work spans across 2 pillars. The first one is around helping private institutions making that next step, making the leap towards credible commitments, looking into case studies that can showcase the good work that is happening in the UAE, but also hopefully stimulate more action locally. I think we kind of discussed about the different technologies, the solutions. It's great to hear so many rich discussions here. The idea, how do we bring that back into the actual action plan for emission reductions within the private sector? And the second one is about collaboration. So essentially is how do we learn from each other, creating those communities of practice similar to what the CEBC is trying to achieve through the different strategies that companies have to implement, but also how do we create those, again, collaboration with policymakers. So hopefully with our CEBC partners as well, with others and our members, we can identify and have some sort of focus strategies into bringing solutions for policymakers. So what are the key obstacles for implementation we're facing here? What are the commonalities and the synergies that multiple sectors are facing? And bring those with tangible solutions for discussion with the policymakers. And lastly, as I mentioned, is how do we link the global agenda with the local agenda as well? So for members to join, so we're asking members to join while signing, if you like, a commitment letter. That commitment letter has 2 key points for entities to sign and at the highest level in their organizations. So we have those, what we call the principles of engagement. They're really important for us to make sure that we have an alignment in terms of how we engage, but also what exactly are we working collectively. So ramping up the ambition towards credible, science-based and verifiable targets. And what I would also like to mention is that, as I said to you earlier, that the alliances need to be member-driven, so we're actually at the process of hosting a number of workshops with our current members, identifying those initial topics that are really important. We heard, for example, Scope 3 emissions, energy uptake, which is obviously one of the key areas that the CEBC is working on. So we're trying to kind of map out what are the key areas we want to bring towards COP28, but also the idea is the alliance that will carry on a legacy beyond COP28, right? We want the momentum to continue. Just to show you a little bit the architecture of where we are at the moment. So we have about 13 members signed up. We have a similar number of organizations in the pipeline that they're actually going to be announced soon. Of course, we're a member of the Global Alliances for Climate Action. HSBC is our founding donor, providing seed funding for us to kickstart the process, and we're really thankful for that. We're really happy to have the endorsement from the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment, and we're also really happy to see that we're collaborating with MOCAE into supporting the climate responsible pledge that they have recently rallied with multiple companies. Of course, CEBC, technical partner, we're going to be working together on some key priority areas, and BCG is offering some in-kind support with technical assistance to the organizations, as well as helping us with some knowledge products. So please reach out. We welcome any organization, regardless of where they are in the journey. We want to bring more knowledge and more dialogue as part of the Alliance, and hopefully we can link the 2 work programs with the CEBC. So with that, I'll stop here and I'll pass it on to the next panel, which is around the COP28, where we hopefully can bring some solutions, knowledge products, and some outcomes from our alliance. So yeah, that's it from my side.